Have you ever been completely owned in a game?
It's like you're about to get pwned. Yeah!
And felt like that player just exists in a completely different reality than you? It's a humbling moment where you go into the chat and you're about to label them a no-life sweat. But then you look at yourself and you realize you've put in the hours. You've done the practice. You love this game. You watch the tutorials. In your spare time, you watch YouTube, always trying to find ways to get better. But somehow, they're still operating on a level that just seems physically impossible. So, naturally, that guy must play 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Well, what if I told you there's a way to get significant improvement in your performance that has nothing to do with just putting in more hours or mindlessly clicking heads in aim trainers? A method to fundamentally raise your baseline potential that the top 1% of players have accidentally stumbled upon. I know how this sounds. Like another gaming snake oil promise. But this isn't about buying a better mouse or memorizing more strategies. And I'm about to teach you this method right here in this video. I'm Dr. Oak, not to be confused with this legend right here. And my gaming story pretty much started from inception. I've been gaming since I was 3 years old on the original NES. And my first game was Duck Hunt. So it's pretty much a game where little ducks fly on the screen and you shoot them down with your plastic gun. And then this cute little dog comes up and gets the ducks for you. And he's a complete piece of mother. I hate that dog. Sorry about that. But then there was Mario. And then there was Super Mario World for the SNES. I mean, gaming was my love ever since. I still remember the rush of discovering StarCraft when I was like 6 years old and just really unlocking how badass PC gaming really could be. Or the moment I turned from young Link to adult Link in the Temple of Time. It was like 3 in the morning. My parents thought I was sleeping. It was my first all-nighter. Or those intense one-on-one GoldenEye sessions that really just put your friendship to the test. I mean, from WoW vanilla raids, to toxic Call of Duty lobbies, to rank climbing in League of Legends, to pulling a clutch in Counter-Strike, I've watched gaming evolve into what it is today. So, back in college, I faced a crossroads that probably sounds familiar to some of you. I loved gaming enough to go pro, but Twitch and streaming and esports, it wasn't really a big thing yet. The path wasn't quite paved, right? So naturally, I started looking at, well, maybe I'll become a game developer. But after doing some research online research told me it probably wasn't a secure idea for my future. Unlike today. But that's okay, because these were the initial steps that eventually led me to discovering what I'll be sharing with you at the end of this video. Something that can transform your gaming overnight. So if I wasn't going to be a game developer, or even work with video games, what was I going to do? I had to think. I mean, follow your passions, right? So I also had another passion. I loved sports. I played soccer like 90% of the human population as a little kid. And eventually, I transferred to football once my mom agreed I wouldn't instantly die from impact from another high school. I've really always felt that exercise was the yin to the yang of gaming. You don't have to deal with the guilt of sitting around all day if you've already put in some work to make sure that you're not going to turn into the toughest badass in gaming history. So, because of, at the time, the more stable sounding nature of the health field, I made the executive decision to pursue an education in health and human performance. Which actually really worked out, because at that point we're at the end of high school, I was super into football, and I wanted to become a defensive end for a Division I team for a local college by me. But there was just one problem with this. I weighed like 190 pounds, soaking wet, which doesn't sound bad, but to be a Division I defensive end, you need to be like at least 260 pounds. And this challenge led me down a rabbit hole of human performance optimization. I immersed myself in physiology, neurology, biochemistry. Eventually, I became a certified personal trainer on my way to get my undergrad in human performance. Pretty much anything that could give me an edge to get me where I wanted. So applying what I learned from school, I was able to transform my body. I added 60 pounds of muscle and I kept my 40-yard dash at a 4.6, which is really good. So at that point, I weighed about 255 pounds, and this was enough to become a linebacker, but not a DN still. But close enough. I always thought being a linebacker would be cool. But anyways, long story short, I made that D1 team as a walk-on. Goal accomplished. Woo! Now, I'm not talking about this just to say, oh, look at me, I'm big and strong, look at what I've done, right? No, the reason I'm saying this is because I want to show you that with the right science applied, we can change our body's limits drastically. So, wanting to learn more, I looked into what would be the best route for me to learn how to push the limits of human capabilities. And after research, I pursued a doctorate in chiropractic. It's a field embraced by elite athletes across every major sport. I mean, every NFL team, every NHL team, Major League Baseball team, individual stars like Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, David Beckham, LeBron James, Michael Phelps, Conor McGregor, Tom Brady. I mean, literally every elite athlete has a chiropractor. And the reason they do this isn't just for injury prevention, they recognize its primary role in human performance and optimizing function. Now, enrolling in school seemed like the obvious choice, but it came with one serious drawback. It completely eliminated all of my time for gaming. So for years, while I was buried in books studying for my next exam, I kept my connection with gaming through watching YouTubers and watching stream. And I know, you're probably thinking at this point, what does this whole story even have to do with gaming? And that's exactly what I thought too. Until one day I was actually gaming during a break, and I had this revelation. What if there was like a field like chiropractic care for elite athletes, but specifically for the brain? Like something that could be applied to elite gamers. And guess what? It turns out there is. It's called functional neurology. So upon this discovery, since I completely hate myself, I decided to go back to school again after my doctorate for a couple more painful years to become specialized in functional neurology. And during my education in functional neurology, I learned deeply about a concept called neuroplasticity. It's the brain's remarkable ability to completely rewire itself. Now, neuroplasticity isn't just this like theoretical concept, right? Scientists solidified the understanding through cases like this one famous kid. He was born without his cerebellum. So, for those of you that don't know, the cerebellum is a part of the brain that's responsible for coordination. It's this guy right here in the green. It pretty much controls your balance, how well you walk, your motor control, all that stuff. But somehow, even though this kid was born without a cerebellum, he's just walking around like normal. And scientists are like, WTF. So they took a peek with some MRIs, and what they found was that the rest of his brain that was still there completely took over the tasks of the missing links here. And that completely solidified that the brain can completely change past what its normal limits were believed to be. I mean, you know that story about how we only use 10% of our brain? Well, that was evidence that that can change. That other 90% of the brain kicked in and it took over the responsibilities of the missing part of the brain. Now, in a clinical sense, functional neurology really focuses on identifying underperforming regions of the brain and then strengthening them through targeted exercises. So it's just like training the muscles, but only is for your brain. And traditionally it's used for things like concussions, neurological conditions, and athletes. But I saw another use. Competitive gaming.
Oh, yeah.
So stay with me here and I'll show you how we can use this knowledge and apply it to the parts of your brain that make you better at gaming. So after completing my schooling, I started treating patients, and during my initial years, I primarily saw people ranging from dementia to Olympic athletes, and I continued to game whenever possible. And I would watch stream tutorials and YouTube tutorials, and I even invested in some coaching to get better at gaming, to try to make up for my lost time. And that's when I noticed something critically missing in the gaming community. Everyone's focusing on strategy and mechanics and practice hours, but they're overlooking something far more fundamental: your neurological hardware limitations. Things like your mental endurance, your processing speed, visual perception, reaction time, your ability to multitask, overall capacity for neurological adaptation, all around establishing your skill ceiling as a player. And ultimately, how high we get this skill ceiling for you is going to give you a direct return on the amount of hours and effort that you're putting into practicing your favorite games. I'm going to give you a very exact, specific technique that addresses these issues at the end of this video. Go ahead and watch this clip.
All paths end with me.
Draw this cord, the play's being made all across the board. GG! He is the immovable object of EDG.
So that utter domination you just witnessed, that's not just experience or practice. That's neurological function operating at its peak. Lightning fast reaction times under 150 milliseconds, visual processing that catches every tiny movement, effortless multitasking across the entire game, and split-second decisions making that seem almost superhuman. This is the human brain firing on all cylinders. Neural optimization at work. Now, over the last several years, I've been experimenting and discovering different exercises, supplements, neurological drills, trying to find out what actually will increase those raw pillars that make our skill ceiling. What I found is that all the heavy lifting has already really been done. There's tons of research on reaction time and multitasking and visual processing that's already been conducted for decades, actually. It just hasn't been used specifically for gamers. And traditionally, peer-reviewed articles and experiments like this, they're going to be reserved for like our elite military and athletes, right? Not necessarily video games. And what I've discovered is that with the proper adaptations, these techniques used on our military and pro athletes can be used on gamers. And guess what? It works. And I'll be demonstrating one of these powerful techniques shortly to show you that it works. So we began doing experiments starting with my friends, using them as guinea pigs. The first part of the process would be we'd find my friends' baseline measurements. So baselines on how fast you react, how well you process what you're seeing, how many things you can keep track of at once, how quickly you can make decisions when the pressure's on, and how long you can stay mentally sharp. And after running them through the protocols that I developed, we saw huge improvements across the board. Little by little, we started noticing changes in my friends' performance. Friends who used to miss their enemies in the peripheral vision started catching every movement. Reaction times got faster by around 20%. And we found that their decision making in clutch moments became noticeably sharper, especially when we're all yelling at them through the voice chat and they're the last one standing. And what's really cool about this is these weren't just placebo effects or just how we felt. I was tracking the numbers the whole time, and the improvements were real and they were consistent. I mean, the results honestly just blew us away. And in just a moment, I'm going to show you actually the first one of these exercises that produced immediate improvement. And this, my friends, is exactly why I created this channel, DroakGG. We're building the first platform that combines cutting-edge performance science with gaming-specific training. This is systemic enhancement of your gaming potential. And for those of you in the science field, you know that learning is never done. So we'll be continuing to experiment, doing live tests on stream and YouTube to see how different approaches affect our gaming performance. So we'll be discovering the perfect solutions for optimizing the gaming brain together. Now on this channel, you're going to get practical techniques on optimizing your brain's processing efficiency, enhance mental endurance for longer peak performance, improve focus under pressure, accelerate your skill acquisition, and unlock neurologic advantages that most gamers don't even discover. And these are going to include things like your reaction time, your aim, your multitasking, all of that. Okay, as promised, let me give you a taste right now. Here's how we do a simple technique that can be used before games to immediately in peripheral vision. Then when we move you into doing the next exercise where your eyes actually move to the dot and then follow the direction, you are activating your oculomotor muscles, allowing the parts of the brain that move those muscles to get stimulated, which also help with visual processing. Then there was 2 temporary power-ups involved in that. The breathing helps give you more oxygen to help give your brain more energy to perform at a higher level. Then the multiple blinking helps reset the film that goes over your eyes and even the layer of tears, increasing your vision temporarily. Now, the 2 temporary boosts actually are really important when it comes to neuroplasticity or getting changes in your brain, because if we can even temporarily allow your brain to perform at a higher level and then do this over and over again, that will start to push the limits of the baseline limitations of your brain. Exercises like this are actually going to force you to work that specific part of your brain over and over again and make it change. So you can almost think of this like the weightlifting or the conditioning for esports, right? This is what's going to actually make you perform better. And where the real magic happens is where we start to use multiple types of exercises for multiple types of skills needed for gaming. So if you want to break through your performance plateaus and start achieving your maximum gaming potential you didn't know you had, hit subscribe and join our free Discord community that's linked below. We're really building something special here. It's the only place where science is meeting gaming passion. And every single video is going to contain at least one technique that you can implement right away. So there's no fluff, there's no just talking about, oh, this is how it works and blah, 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 and not actually giving you the goods to make it happen. So again, this is DroakGG. We don't just play the game here, we're going to help you get good. So go ahead and subscribe now, and I'll see you in the next video where we're going to go over another exercise that can help increase your reaction time that you're not going to want to miss. It's time to get good.